What if I told you that on Earth we have almost an infinite amount of fuel and has no carbon emissions when harnessed correctly? An energy source so great that it could solve all the world's energy problems. The world's energy problems could be solved if nuclear fusion is perfected. I chose this topic because not many people know what nuclear fusion is or the benefits it can contribute to the world. Ever since my engineering project I did on alternative energy sources in ninth grade, I've been fascinated by nuclear power and mostly nuclear fusion power. I've also continued to inform myself on the topic through additional research, which I will cite in my presentation. So in covering the topic of nuclear fusion, first I'll talk about how nuclear fusion works and how it compares to nuclear fission. Then I'll explain what the current obstacles and issues that are preventing this energy source from being marketable are. Finally, I will go in depth on the pros and cons of nuclear fusion power. How does nuclear fusion work? How does it compare to nuclear fission? Look up at the sun. The sun is constantly undergoing nuclear fusion, and if it wasn't for the sun, we wouldn't be here today. Nuclear fusion is actually a very simple concept. You take two isotopes of hydrogen atom, deuterium and tritium, and apply pressure and heat equivalent to the sun, and hydrogen fuses together to make a heavier element, helium. The deuterium can be distilled from seawater, and the tritium can be bred in the reactor. During this reaction, large amounts of energy is given off and can be harnessed by absorbing the heat produced from the reaction. Nuclear fission is when a neutron is added to a heavy element like uranium. Then the atom is split into two elements that are not as heavy. This process gives off energy also, but creates dangerous radioactive waste, and there is only so much uranium on Earth compared to the hydrogen. If nuclear fusion is a simple concept, why has this energy source not been harnessed yet? What are the current obstacles and issues that prevent the energy source from being marketable? An energy source that has no nuclear waste and is virtually inexhaustible seems way too good to be true. It's true, all right, but scientists and engineers have yet to perfect the way of harnessing the power of fusion. The current fusion reactor that is being used to create fusion power is called a tokamak. According to Dr. Craig Freudenrich, this reactor has over 1 million parts and is a massive 30 meters tall. A myriad of the parts must be able to withstand extreme pressures and temperatures. It uses magnetic fields and electric fields to heat and squeeze the hydrogen plasma. The problem with the tokamak is creating a powerful enough magnetic field to confine the hydrogen plasma as the plasma expands outward. Without a continuous confined reaction, the tokamak is not able to put out more energy than is put in to start the reaction. Creating the heat and magnetic fields that simulate the sun is no easy task, so once engineers and scientists figure out how to keep the hot hydrogen plasma gas contained, then the reaction should make more power than is put in to start the reaction. Due to the fact that the tokamak is on a large scale, it needs a plethora of funding. It is estimated that there won't be a fusion power plant until 2050. In the meantime, though, Lockheed Martin Skunk Works is actually developing a small-scale fusion reactor that can fit on the back of a semi-truck and can power a small city without any CO2 emissions or long-life radioactive waste. This fusion reactor is closer to resolving the magnetic field problems and is estimated to go full scale in about 10 years. Now that you have a basic understanding of nuclear fusion, here are some pros and cons of nuclear fusion that the National Academy of Engineering have provided. The pros of nuclear fusion are it's a clean energy with no greenhouse gas emissions, no chain reaction like in a nuclear fission power plant where there is danger of nuclear disaster. If there is a problem, the fuel can be cut off and a nuclear fusion reaction is stopped, making fusion very safe and a very safe source of energy. Little or no nuclear waste, and if there is waste, it is short life instead of nuclear fission where nuclear waste is radioactive for a long time. Virtually a limitless fuel supply, very low fuel costs. It will help countries become first world instead of a third world while involving mankind in economics. For places that with low amounts of fresh water, nuclear fusion can power desalination plants for very low cost, making fresh water more affordable. The cons of nuclear fusion are it's unproven at a commercial scale, no full-scale production predicted until at least 2050, commercial power plants would be extremely expensive to build, it requires extremely high temperatures, difficult to contain the plasma state of matter, could produce a net negative amount of energy, the billions in research funding could be spent on renewable instead, would remove any incentive for restraint in the use of energy. I hope I've been able to inform you on the topic of nuclear fusion as an important energy source for our planet. Nuclear fusion is a power that is harnessed by the sun. Strong magnetic fields and extreme temperature are the driving force for fusion power. With these two factors, the deuterium and tritium isotopes of hydrogen can be fused together to produce an immense amount of energy from the reaction. With a small-scale fusion reactor possibly being produced on a large scale in 10 years and a large-scale nuclear fusion reactor, the tokamak, going commercial in about 25 years, it is possible that all the world energy problems will be met. After seeing the pros and cons, it is clear why scientists and engineers keep tackling the problems that surround nuclear fusion power. They are looking forward to a future of cheap, limitless power to help mankind. They believe that the pros outweigh the cons. What do you think? Imagine a world free of CO2 emissions, limitless energy, and a better way of living for everyone on Earth. One day it will be possible with the science behind nuclear fusion, but for now it's just a dream yet to come true.